Let's get to know the history of the jinn, or genie in English. Where did their concept originate? Why? What do they mean? The word jinn sounds more menacing than genie, so I'll use that throughout this video. I'll also tell you towards the end how you can get one of your own. How did the human mind even conceptualize an idea as superheroic, as cool, and as outlandish as the jinn? One of the first things that distinguishes Homo sapiens sapiens, yes, that's the sexy word for us, is our ability to imagine and create supernatural concepts and structure our societies around them. This is what makes the jinn or the genie so fascinating. So here's the first thing about the jinn. We all want one. And the first thing we're all gonna ask for is going to be unlimited more wishes. Yeah, that trick is kinda old now. Genius? Okay. Now, with that out of the way, let me start by telling you that throughout much of their history, jinns weren't actually wish-granting personal servants, subservient to us humans the way popular stories like Aladdin's or I Dream of a Genie, remember that? Have made us believe. They didn't live in lamps or rings, and we couldn't just summon them every time we wanted a free steak or scare our ex-boyfriends in the middle of the night. Disappointing, but true. That's not how the original concept of the jinn was. So if the jinn's only purpose in life was not granting wishes for no reason to our pretty faces, then what was it? Originally, the jinns were worshipped as minor gods in the Middle East before Islam came. So yeah, even though you see them mentioned in Islamic literature, including the Quran, a lot, they actually predate Islam. They were a part of the religions of that region and were subsumed into Islam when it came along. Like it happens normally, like the winter solstice celebrations were subsumed into Christianity to make Christmas. Same. It wasn't just the Middle East that had the jinn in their cultural imagination though. The region between Assyria and Babylon had a whole fun gamut of demons and ghouls and witches and spirits and so on in their belief system. Jinns were part of this world too. Ancient Mesopotamia and early Persian society too had creatures similar to the jinn. Spirit beings in some cultures of Africa too were similar to the jinn. But what exactly did they mean to these societies? Jinns in the original mythological pantheon were kinda like demigods. They existed somewhere between gods and humans. They were like humans but on a somewhat grander supernatural scale, which means they were believed to live in communities and societies much like we humans do. They were born to parents and procreated and ate, drank, died, had free will, as in they could choose to be good or bad, and when Islam came along, they were believed to choose for themselves whether they were believers or not. They were mostly thought to possess people, remember this, it'll come up later, and were controlled by magicians who were humans for some reason. Jinns were stronger and much faster than humans, and they could change shape. So, shapeshifters in sexy words. In old times, that is before Islam stripped them of a lot of their cool superpowers, they were believed to even invoke storms and perform miracles, which is why they had that demigod-like status and were widely worshipped. So, this was their job description before Islam came. What happened after Islam? In Islamic tradition, jinns were around before man. They were around before all living creatures, so they were the first of God's sentient creation to walk the planet. They were different from angels in hierarchy. They were lower than angels, so the hierarchy was like this. Angels lived in heaven and the jinns lived on earth. Allah made them from smokeless fire. So in contrast, mankind was shaped from clay and angelic beings from light. Each creature was made on its own day. Angels on Wednesday, jinn on Thursday, humans on Friday. They could be found to be living in any kind of non-living thing, even fire or air. There are too many oral traditions around the jinn, and naturally many of them contradict each other, which is what makes the jinn so mysterious. Anyway, according to most older traditions, stay out of their way, they are not wish granters. And what did they look like? If Will Smith were really a jinn, his feet might be backwards, because that's what's believed. Jinns were non-corporeal, so whenever they took on a human form, they made mistakes, and one of their most common mistakes was backward feet. But they're believed to take on animal forms more easily, so The most common ones are black dogs, black cats, or snakes. And now you know why in some cultures they actually don't love dogs like we do. So we talked about possessed humans earlier. That's because jinns were believed to possess people in two kinds of ways. One was to actually possess them, like the exorcist types, and the other was like a muse for artists. In ancient Rome, the term genie, the plural form of the Latin word genius, referred to spirits that watched over every man right from birth. They influenced each man's character and inborn ability. For women, it was a different spirit called Juno. And in later Roman cultures, the genii were regarded as guardian spirits of households. A similar idea was in place in the Middle East, where the jinn was a muse for artists. Many Arab poets have claimed that they wrote their poetry or their works of art as inspiration from the whispers of jinns. Wikipedia says that the origin of the word jinn is from an Arabic collective noun deriving from the Semitic root jinn, whose meaning is to hide or to adapt. And some authors interpret the word to mean being concealed from the senses. And these meanings that have evolved over time, the cognates like Majnu and Jannah and Jenny, they're interesting because over time it is these different meanings and interpretations of the root word itself that you can see shaping the idea of the jinn and the stories that have evolved over time. So overall, jinns are a beautiful concept that we humans should be proud of because their existence was one in which the material and spiritual worlds came together in mythic world orders that defined the essence of human life in very unique ways. They represent a unique capacity for symbolic and spiritual thought that we humans are blessed with, for defining the boundaries of existence and the relationship between the individual and the group and the cosmos, the multi-layered cosmos. Humans are sandwiched between these heavens and hellish underworld. And if you talk about them a lot and say their name again and again like I just did, the oral traditions say that you might summon them. So go try. Thank you so much for your time. Hope it was worth it. Bye-bye.